Hey, man, welcome everybody. I think by now most people know me. My name is Jeffrey Brown. I'm the Vice President of Development and Marketing for Partnership Against Domestic Violence. This is the last conversation in our series that we're doing called Talk About It, where we are highlighting and raising awareness for Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month, which is February. So today we close Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month. And this is probably going to be my favorite of all three conversations we've had because we have some awesome individuals, and I'll give them a second here and to introduce themselves. But obviously, I wanted to just open this conversation up and let everybody know what we're going to be talking about today. So, as you filter in, you are more than welcome to throw questions in the chat, no matter how you're watching, whether it's on Facebook or YouTube. You are more than welcome to throw questions in the chat. Obviously, I have questions, but it's late and it's dinner time. So my goal is to not hold anybody any longer than they need to. But I'm super excited about this call. So we're gonna just jump right in. I'm gonna go straight across my screen as I see it. So Caroline, tell us who you are and what do you do?
Hey there, everybody. So my name is Caroline Caulfield, and I'm the dating violence prevention advocate with Partnership Against Domestic Violence. Glad to be here.
Awesome. Dorian, what about you?
Hi, everyone. My name is Dorian Johnson. I am the project director for the Spelman College Violence Prevention and Intervention Program. We are a grant-funded program that looks to create sustainable change as we educate and provide awareness around sexual assault, domestic violence, and stalking on campus. And we are in our second iteration of the grant. So we've had it for 3 years, and we're going on 3 more. Glad to be here. Thank you all.
That's awesome. And obviously been a part of many meetings with you in that program. So it's super exciting to see y'all grow and expand and really do your work. It's exciting. Jarmon, what about you, man? Who are you? Where are you from?
Yes, sir. My name is Jarmon Desadier. I'm the executive director for GGC's, which is Georgia Gwinnett College, Office of Diversity and Equity Compliance. I'm also serving as GGC's Title IX coordinator, which for those who are familiar with Title IX is the federal statute that prohibits sex discrimination, sexual misconduct, et cetera. I've been here for about 4 years, but I've been in this field for quite a while, originally from Atlanta, Georgia.
Awesome. And am I correct? And this is not, we're coming up on the anniversary of Title IX, right?
We are.
Okay, cool. I thought I heard that in passing somewhere. So a timely conversation. Well, it's timely to have you on as we get ready to kind of commemorate Title IX as well. So, hey, Amanda, I'm gonna kick it over to you. Tell us who you are and who are you with?
Yes, thank you so much for having me. So my name is Amanda Planchard. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. I'm a voice advocate at the Georgia Institute of Technology. And VOICE is Georgia Tech's sexual and relationship violence prevention and survivor support initiative. And specifically, as a voice advocate, I work with victim survivors on campus every day. So Thanks so much for having me.
No, this is exciting, and we won't hold it. As a bulldog, I'm obviously not going to hold it against you. We said, "Oh, let's bring Amanda from Tech on." I was like, I don't know, but I love it. So, hey, I want to the first question, and Jarmon, you alluded to it a little bit. I want to ask each one of you, how long have you been in this work? And then what really got you engaged in wanting to do the work that you're doing on college campuses? So Jarmon, since you brought it up, I'm gonna start with you, man.
Yeah, sure. Honestly, Jeff, I didn't plan to get into this field. Coming out of college, I kind of had a different career working in corporate America, then decided to go back to law school. And coming out of law school, I actually went back into HR, working in employee relations. And during that time, the school I was at, the Title IX coordinator left. And so I kind of took on that role in the interim duty just to fill that void. And as I got into the work, I really started to see the importance of it on the campus, the effects we're able to have on the campus, what it really means to do preventative work around Title IX, to do a thorough investigation to prevent that type of harassment or discrimination from happening going forward, et cetera. And it kind of went from there. And so that kind of was my window or my step into Title IX, and it's grown from there. Whereas once I got into it, I haven't left the field.
Awesome. I'm going to shoot it right over to you, Amanda.
Sure. So I actually started my career in this area more than 25 years ago. And I started as a peer educator on my college campus, educating other students about sexual and relationship violence. And I've been at Georgia Tech for a little over 4 years now. So I've kind of gone full circle and I've gone back to a university setting, and I really enjoy it. It's basically what I've wanted to do since I was in college. So
Wow. So I heard you say I've been doing this work 25 years, and then I think my eyes immediately shot over to Caroline, and I'm like, oh, is she 25 yet? So anyway, so I'm sorry for the bad joke, age joke, Caroline. So since I'm talking about you, how about you, Caroline? How long have you been in the field, and what really got you engaged?
Amazing, yeah. I got started in this field about 3 years ago. I started off at Kennesaw State getting my degree. I started off working with Live Safe Resources as an internship, and just kind of falling in love with working with women and children and different settings. So found my way to PADV as a child advocate, and I have really enjoyed the experience of getting to work with survivors. And now I have the role of getting to be the dating violence prevention advocate and work with, prevention in the community. So I'm really enjoying it.
So your mom is commenting in the.
Of course she is. One fan.
Hey, let me tell you, you can always count on mom to support you and embarrass you in the same breath.
Oh,
so
yes.
Thank you, mom. And Dorian, last but not least, like, how long have you been in the field?
Yeah.
What got you here, and why are you so? I mean, because I've been in the same room with you a lot, and like your passion for this stuff is infectious and it oozes in a good way. So, like, how long have you been here, and why are you so passionate about it?
Okay, so I've been in the field for almost 8 years now, and I think I have to echo Jarmon and say, like, I didn't think I was going to be here. I got out of undergrad and I said I was going to be a radio announcer or on TV, because that's what I studied. I studied mass communications, and then I had a moment where I decided to go back to college, and I said, well, I'm gonna get into this field of human services. And so that's what I did. I hail from the great state of Virginia. And so that's where all of my education is. But I got into this field because I am a survivor of dating violence in my teen and also in my college years. And so that's why that passion oozes out. That's why I started doing this work. And to be honest with you, there were no programs like what we do on our campuses now when I was in college, at least not at HBCUs as well as it is prominent now. And so I saw the opportunity, and I first started off in my career doing this as far as colleges is concerned. Well, I started off in nonprofit settings, but as far as colleges is concerned, I was in North Carolina at North Carolina Central University doing this work. And then that led me to here at Spelman College. But yeah, that's how long it's been for me.
Awesome. Hey, you know what? And again, this is not a question that y'all have been prepped for, but I want to throw this to Jarmon and Amanda as the elder statesmen of the group here. Dorian brought up an amazing point that when she unfortunately experienced this, programs like this didn't exist on college campuses. When did we start to see that shift of, I don't want to say that colleges didn't take it serious. I think it was just colleges started to put forth resources to support people a little bit differently. When did you see that happen on a college campus? And Amanda, I started with Jarmon last time. Amanda, I'll throw it to you first this time.
Sure. I'd say 2012 with the Dear Colleague letter.
Wow.
And essentially that's what created like a mandate for schools to start taking a bigger interest in the area and ensuring that survivors got support. At my school, the program for advocates, for people who work with survivors, really didn't get fully funded like a job in and of itself, where it wasn't on top of your other job duties until 2015. So that kind of gives you an idea.
Wow.
Yeah, I agree with Amanda 1,000%. So I came into this field in around 2014. And so I do agree that the 2012 Dear Colleague letters were really started to change the dynamic on college and university campuses. But even then, there still has been a shift, depending on what institution you're at with the amount of resources and what's put in to this field. It varies campus by campus. And so I've worked at institutions that have been much more established in what they have in place as far as resources for survivors of these type of situations. And then I'm like the institution I'm at now, we're a fairly new institution. And so we don't have advocates here on our campus. A lot of work that we do is preventative work or compliance work, where we depend a lot on organizations like PADV or a sexual assault center in Gwinnett County, et cetera, to provide those type of resources and advocacy for our students or different community members on our campus. And so there's still a shift happening. I feel like we're seeing more resources on campus and more organizations like PADV, but I think we're still in the formative stages in a lot of ways on certain institutions.
I'm not shocked often, right? And I think when I asked that question and you told me the year, I was shocked because I thought it would have been, granted, I was in college from 01 to 05, right? I'm not expecting this thing to have jumped off in, 2090s, but hearing that it was so recent is actually pretty shocking to me. So, again, Dorian hit another point, and I want to maybe ask Caroline this question, because Dorian, you said that you were a victim of both of teen dating violence and in high school and in college. And so I want to ask Caroline, as PDV's dating violence coordinator, what's the difference so that the community knows, what's the difference between teen dating violence and dating violence or college dating violence?
Yeah, right. So we know dating violence is a pattern of controlling and abusive behaviors that someone uses over their intimate partner. And the barriers for someone who's a teen and versus a college student are going to look a little different, right? Like those that are teenagers, they may be living at home, they have their community, they have a school system to help them through whatever issues they're going through. And so when new students go to college, this may be the first time that they're experiencing independence at their own. There is also the possibility that they have moved out of their community and now are in a new community, and they may be feeling isolated. So it's hard to reach out for help if you don't really have your support system. And knowing just that young people who are experiencing dating violence, for the first time in their life, it could be because, this is the first experience they have with dating, and they may not realize what unhealthy looks like and what even abusive relationships are. I believe the statistic is, 70% of college students don't believe that they're in a dating violence situation. So a lot of times it may just not be known what exactly is healthy versus unhealthy.
So I guess the magic question for Dorian, Jarmon, Amanda, is dating violence an issue at your school?
Absolutely, without a doubt.
Yeah, and I'll jump in on that one and say again, since I've worked in higher education, this is the fourth school that I've worked at, and every school differs, in my opinion, as far as the most prevalent type of cases that they see. I know at my current institution, dating violence ranks right up there at the top as far as the most common cases or common situations that we deal with here on our campus. Mm-hmm. I still am trying to determine what that reason is, but to answer your question, that just shows the prevalence of it on college and university campuses. A lot of times we talk about these topics and individuals may listen to it. If they haven't had direct experience with it, they may believe that it's not something that is a recurring issue across colleges and universities, but the reality is that it is, and we deal with it often, at least here at GGC.
I think the normalizing of certain behaviors that we see in the media, in this generation and in this culture, but then also just not being educated on it. There's so many. It's so good to see the light bulb click with students when you educate them and you have programs and they're like, oh, I didn't realize that that's what that was. Something felt off. Something felt as if it wasn't okay, but I couldn't pinpoint what it was. And so I think it's that lack of just education before they come into the college setting.
Yeah. And I'll just piggyback on that. It really is, compared to like sexual assault, it's just not as readily known about as being an issue for college campuses. So we try to do a lot of work in our prevention around giving students the language to use to even describe their experiences, because sometimes they're not really even having the language to describe what's isolation or what's emotional abuse or coercion. And so just having that language to talk about their experiences is helpful.
Do you guys see that one form of dating violence is more prevalent on your campuses than others, right? So is physical violence more prevalent than sexual, financial, emotional, digital, like that kind of stuff? Or is it just across the board, we see it all?
For me, I think I think across the board, we may see it all, Jeff, but what I would say is that I feel like physical violence is what's reported more.
Mhm.
I think it goes back to Amanda's point about the education sense and giving the students the words to identify what their experience are and realizing that certain things actually qualify as dating violence. And so oftentimes the verbal aspect is happening a lot, but they don't recognize that they tie that to dating violence, right? So they don't realize that because they're receiving this behavior, it actually is a form of dating violence. And I think that reduces the number of reports that come in when it's just verbal abuse or financial abuse or whatever the case may be. So most of my reports end up being physical violence.
This is super intriguing for me. And please, anybody jump on in, Amanda, Dorian, Caroline. Please, don't let me talk too much because y'all all know I will.
Well, I will add one piece in. I think some of it is that the Title IX sort of definitions around dating violence are different than the definitions that are used for like Clery or law enforcement, or even how we would use it in a prevention standpoint. And so what I find is that Title IX might get more cases that involve physical violence just because that is an aspect of the definition that they're looking at. Whereas I see a lot more people who aren't reporting anything formally, but are just seeking support and services. And it's much more around emotional abuse and technology abuse. Those are kind of the two most common that I see.
Yeah, same here with our campus.
So because technology, and all of you guys brought up such a major point when we talk about the role that digital and tech plays in our lives, is that something or that you guys are starting to see more of as years go by, as tech becomes more prevalent? Like, we're all walking around with so much tech in our hands and on our body, right? Watches and stuff. Are you starting to see that more and more on college campuses? And how do you support that? How do you tell kids, or college students, I don't want to demean them and call them kids, but how do you let them know that the actions that they're experiencing in the social environment or the digital space is just as wrong as the things that they may experience in the real world?
I think we have to get more creative when it comes to helping them understand what that looks like in the digital world. Because it's new, it's even new for us, right? And so that means that I'm constantly having to educate myself on what that even means and kind of the nuances when it comes to the digital space. And because this generation that we serve are digital babies, like that's what they know. And so it can, like I said, it can be nuanced, but I think one thing is taking a simple approach and helping them understand that those behaviors that they see when it comes to the digital space and how that kind of relates to if that was the same behavior that was happening in person, that can kind of help them see how that's wrong or that shouldn't happen.
Yeah, I'll just add on top of that too. I think that students need more creative ways of safety planning around technology besides just block them or get off social media. Right. Those aren't realistic things that we should be telling people, and they don't necessarily keep people safer either, despite what sort of people might think about them. So I really think finding solutions for that, and some of the technology, honestly, is hard to keep up with. I saw someone mentioned AirTags in the comment section. AirTags is one of those where it's extremely challenging to figure out who might have put an AirTag on a person, or dealing with spoof phone calls where you're faking where a text or a phone call is coming from. Those are very hard to track. And so it's very challenging for survivors who are trying to stop the behavior.
It just seems like you guys are you're shooting for a basket that moves every day, right? Like, I can come out on the court and I can take 100 free throws, and then tomorrow the basket is in a totally different place. And the work that I did yesterday is not really, is it beneficial? Yes, but it just seems like every day I got to take free throws before practice just so that I can be good at my job, right? Is that a fair assessment of describing y'all's work?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to kick it, and thank you, Amanda, for answering Tracy's question. And if anybody wants to jump on the Apple AirTag, because that's something that we're seeing a lot. At least I see that a lot just on social media, right? It just seems like there's a really big conversation happening around Apple AirTags right now. The question that I have for you guys next is really looking at, is there a difference in or do you guys see a difference in dating violence that takes place with a student and somebody off campus? And how do you support, so a student and a non-student, is the way you support that student the same if the student is if the perpetrator, is a non-student?
I'll start, I guess. It'd be the same for how I would approach the situation, but there might be different options for reporting or for support and safety, depending on that situation. For example, if the abuser or the perpetrator is not a student, you may be able to ban that student from your campus. And so that creates an additional safety component that the survivor could choose to utilize if they wanted to. On the other hand, if they are a student, there may be more that your college can do because they have more influence over that other student. So things like no contact orders or directives that your student conduct office might put in place, or your Title IX office, that you wouldn't be able to do if it was not a student who was the abuser.
Yeah, I agree. You can utilize more of those local resources, even though local resources definitely help students. But sometimes you can, with local law enforcement and things of that nature, it can be beneficial.
Yeah, Jeff, jump in. I mean, Amanda touched on it. If the perpetrator or respondent is a student, then there are a lot more, for me as a Title IX court coordinator, there are a lot more things I have in place that I can do, whether it's interim measures, right? So changing a housing assignment or a class assignment or of that nature, or launching an investigation, wherever the case may be. There are different things that we can do to try to address that situation on our campus or within the student population. But if they're a non-student, it does tie our hands in the sense that what we can actually do to them, it takes it outside of our jurisdiction. So it touched on, outside of criminally trespassing them from campus or something along those lines, there's not a lot I could do to a respondent who was a non-student. So then our attention focuses more on the victim and which ways we can support them, which is offering resources, connecting them with the right people, allowing them to feel that they are supported here on our campus, even though the person who engaged in that conduct wasn't a student. We're here to support you and try to make sure you feel comfortable, not only on our campus, but just moving forward in life. So it really depends on whether the person is a student or not, as far as how we can address the other person. But with our students, we try to approach it the same as far as offering those resources and support.
Is it also, if the perpetrator is a student, it's campus police that you get involved, versus if it's a non-student, do you call the city or county police that where the college sits? Am I understanding that? Is that how it goes, or no?
Clear geography, really. It's all about
Yeah, but and if it's so if it's regardless, I may contact our campus police. But in terms of what our campus police can do, again, if it's a non-student who engaged in this conduct, a lot of times the most that they can do is criminally trespass that person from campus. Now, if they decide to take it a step further and contact the local law enforcement, so let's say in my situation, Lawrenceville PD, and share information, because in addition to DV, they have evidence or report of battery, et cetera, and they can pursue something criminally, then that would be something separate that they could pursue. But as far as my involvement in is sharing the information so they can move forward on, from a police standpoint, what they can do around the behavior that was reported.
This is a really great conversation, and I want to really take a second and thank you guys. And then also let folks watching know that if they have questions for you, they're more than welcome to throw them in the chat. This is really open-ended, and I don't want them to feel like it's us driving this conversation. We definitely want to make sure that you guys that are watching with us today ask questions. And even if you watch this after we are live, please just throw the question in the comment section. Tell me who you want to ask it to, and I'll get back with whomever and get you the answer. So Leanne has a great question. How do you create an open door policy to let the students know who and where to go? So I'm going to give it really all of you. So let's just start. And Caroline, I want you to jump in after everybody goes. Same question. How can we better? I guess that'll be the question for you. How do you better create an open door policy? So Dorian, Amanda, Jarmon, let's go in that order.
Yeah, I think it's all about programming and just getting out there and making sure that students know what resources exist. It's so interesting. We can often think the work that we do, that we're getting out there and people know about us, but there's always a student that has no idea of the services that are offered on campus, no matter how hard you program, no matter how hard you're sending emails out. And they could just be like, oh, well, I didn't even know we had that on campus. So it's a constant thing. And also we utilize peer educators here at Spelman College. And so that peer-to-peer support and that peer-to-peer network is crucial in making sure that, you know, students are understanding what's being offered and what exists and where they can go to receive some help. So we are on it when it comes to programming, when it comes to events, whether that's with Greek Life or with certain student orgs or SGA or just everything in general. We make sure that our name is kind of out there and students know what's there for them.
Yeah, so I would echo all of that same stuff. I think sometimes it's important for us to remind ourselves that like it's our job to like go to them and not just their job to come to us. And so I'm always constantly trying to think like, how can we do better at like meeting students where they're at and coming to them with the needs that they have. So this year we tried out a online system where people can schedule their own appointment with a link online. And it's been very, very popular. So that's just one way that we've tried to be more accessible and kind of meeting students there. Also feel like campus partnerships are super important because I know I can't reach everyone on campus, even with the best of outreach. But I know that if I can connect to all the other departments and people that are also connecting to a different pot of students, then I can get my message out even further. And so creating those connections and relationships across the campus are a super helpful way. And then I think campuses having different people to access support. And maybe I'm not the one that every student is going to feel comfortable accessing support. So it doesn't have to be me. And so having other people on the campus who we create relationships with that we do regular training with so that they can also provide support and resources for students, like in our Women's Resource Center or our LGBTQIA Resource Center, just so that we can make sure that we're getting everywhere.
Yeah, Jeff, I think Dorian and Amanda did a great job of laying everything out. The way I would sum all that up is I would just say visibility on our campus. And I'll give an example. When I first got into my role, there's a survey that goes out to students every year, and it asks, a number of questions. And one of the questions was whether students were aware of where to report incidents of sexual misconduct, dating violence, etc. And although at that time, this office was putting materials in their orientation booklets, had assigned training they had to complete, etc., still 60% of students were saying that they had no idea this office existed or where to report the kind of behavior to. And so what that told me was that putting it in print was not enough. You have to be out there in front of them, actually talking with them, sharing that information so they connect that information to a person or to an office or something along those lines, so that when it does happen, they not only know where to go, but you've hopefully established some kind of rapport so they feel more comfortable actually coming and sharing that information. So I think the visibility piece of it and this commitment to getting information out there goes a long way.
Jarmon, I'm sorry, Caroline, I'm sorry. How can we create a more open environment on college campuses that lets students know that this is a welcoming place to talk about this?
I just want to take a minute to say that I think all three of your colleges, I've worked on different projects with all of these schools, and you guys do the work. You are spreading awareness, and we are making sure that students have various different ways that they can get in contact however they need help. I just really think that you guys are doing a really wonderful job at each of your schools. And, but I think you guys did a wonderful job saying what we can do better. We're doing the work, it's just a matter of let's continue going, right? Like we finished this project, what's the next one? And hopefully, making it easier for students to reach out, understand what dating violence actually looks like, and knowing they're not alone.
Jarmon, this is not a question that you were, I feel like I'm asking y'all all questions that y'all didn't get in your material, but
we're live. Let's go.
this is really pertinent to you specifically as the man that's doing this work on the panel, and because so many of our victims and survivors are women, does that create a barrier that you have to overcome? You know, when you're doing prevention work, or when you're doing your when you're just opening your door to say, I'm here to listen and help support you through this process.
I think the short answer is that it could, but for me, I have not. I think in my time doing this work, I've only probably had one case where someone did not want to work with me or speak to me because I was a man. And so I feel like as long as you approach the work from a place of empathy, a place of compassion, and a place of really being genuine about trying to address the situation and show concern for that person, the human element of it, I think that helps in regards to building that rapport and making someone feel comfortable, or allowing them to feel comfortable in sharing certain things with you. And again, coming into it, my role is a bit different because Title IX is considered more of compliance. So I'm not an advocate in a sense, right? I'm coming in to address the behavior and to try to stop it. But it doesn't change the fact that someone was subjected to this kind of behavior. And you have to remember that when you are working with them or speaking with them or trying to gain information about what happened. And for me, I think that's helped me when I have approached this, when I have worked with victims of dating violence, and being more comfortable working with me, having another advocate or someone in the room that they may feel comfortable having that person there with them to share this information, whatever it is. But it hasn't been necessarily a hindrance for me, but I have spoken with other colleagues in my field who have said it has been a block for them at times when trying to work on these cases. But I haven't had a lot of cases where someone hasn't wanted to work with me.
That's awesome. Dorian and Amanda, a similar question, tweaked a little bit differently. How do you guys just create that welcoming environment so that people feel comfortable with coming to you and having that conversation? Because both of you guys do that on your campuses. So how did you create that environment, or how do you continue to create that environment as time goes by?
Well, half my students think I'm a student, so that's a plus. I kind of look like them. so that's worked out in my favor. They just come and say, hey, Ms. Johnson, hey, Dorian, and we just kind of get the talking. But I make myself known. I am a personable person. Even though that there is a generational difference, I can still be very relatable. I keep up with what's going on in their culture and what's happening, and making sure that I also make sure that I'm going to them for things, but making sure that if there are events that we're putting on, they are representative of what something they'd be interested in, you know? So that comes to topic names, or what we're discussions, or the content that we're focusing on. But I try to make myself known. I try to have a conversation with students, with any student that I come across, and just present myself in a just an honest way to say, hey, I'm here. I've may have been through what you've been through, and open door policy, come and let's chat, let's figure out what's going on, and let's get you some help.
Awesome.
Yeah, I really totally agree. I think honesty and just sort of being genuine, I think people can tell when you genuinely care about them, and so as long as I'm showing up in that way, we do try and also have our offices sort of decorated in a trauma-informed, inviting way. So, soft lighting and privacy is important. So the other part is really having people across the campus, particularly student leaders, who can be an ambassador for your program, and really let people know that I'm a safe person for someone to talk to. And so I'm really grateful for having students who share that kind of positive feeling with other students who might need to access support.
Awesome. All right. So, hey, I promised you guys I wasn't going to keep y'all long, and I got to talking. So, I just have two more questions, then I promise I'm going to let y'all go. So the next question that I have is, what does your school do for prevention work? And so let's just start there. So what services? Actually, no. What services does your school offer to students who have experienced dating violence or sexual assault? And so we'll start Jarmon, Dorian, Amanda.
Sure. So what services do we offer? As I stated earlier, we actually don't have advocates on campus. And so when someone has experienced that, we do have a list of resources that we try to provide them. Oftentimes it is with our community partners. We also try to connect them with our counseling psychological services center on campus so that they have someone on campus that they can speak to. But as I said earlier, we really rely heavily on organizations like Mosaic, which is our sexual assault center, or PADV. And Caroline and Melissa and others from PADV have been awesome with coming to our campus and not only increasing awareness, but providing those advocacy services for our students. One of your advocates, Anna Marie, we have a room on campus that she can come to and meet with students confidentially or really faculty and staff as well, when they've experienced DV. And that's outside of our office. They don't have to share anything with us. It's a private resource for them if they choose to utilize it. So for us, it really is just trying to provide what we can, but we're still building and trying to offer more resources to our students on campus who may have experienced that.
Yeah.
So for us, we have just a plethora of resources, but that includes our confidential resources that are on campus. So if you wanted to go to chapel and talk with somebody, it's an interfaith chapel. If you wanted to talk to counseling services, my program works hand in hand. I call us separate but equal with Title IX because as we stated before, Title IX is equity focused, but my focus for my program is more so victim centered. And so I provide different support groups through the grant, different programming, peer education, and of course, external resources to you all's wonderful organization, PADV. And then we also partner with Atlanta Volunteer Lawyer Foundation. And so when it comes to the legal side of things, the students have questions about, or they need some free services as far as TPOs or just anything involving the legal system, then we reach out to AVLF, and they have been a great resource for our students as well.
All right. So, and at Georgia Tech, honestly, Voice does a lot of like the coordination. So we're lucky that we have 2 full-time advocates to work with survivors on our campus. So that might look like trying to figure out what resources that someone might want to access either on campus or off. It might look like housing accommodations, like assisting a student who might need to move or get out of a lease, or maybe even needs emergency housing at some point if they're in an unsafe environment. We also offer a lot of information around reporting. So talking about reporting options, accompanying the survivor to any reporting that they want to do, whether it's reporting to the police or to Title IX or to both or to neither. We also do a lot of academic accommodations. And so that might mean maybe the dean's office needs to send some notification to the student's faculty that they're going through a personal issue that's affecting their academics. Maybe they need an extension on an assignment or an exam. I also have students who sometimes need to withdraw from courses because of the trauma. So we can help with that kind of thing. We also have an emergency grant in Voice, as well as we can assist survivors who might want to apply for crime victims compensation or seek some other kind of financial support. So we're there to kind of really connect the student to all the resources across our campus and community.
You know what I appreciate about this conversation, then I'm going to ask my final question, is hearing when all of this got started. I think, Jarmon, you opened it up with, I think it was 2015. I think it's, if I remember correctly. Hearing all of the work that y'all have done or y'all's campuses have done in a relatively short amount of time and the resources that you guys are beginning to leverage. Like, I think, if I was a parent with this kid going to any of y'all's colleges, I would feel really, really good about how you guys wrap around my children and make them feel safe. So really kudos to all of you guys for the work that y'all are doing. Miss Tracy does have a quick question. Do y'all ever look for educational resources from to teach educational programs to teach students about dating violence? I think that's specifically for her.
Yeah, so I think we all can probably attest to that. Our incoming students are required and have mandatory kind of prevention education that they have to do. And so we use EverFi. I'm not sure what Tech or GGC uses. And so that's what we use in addition to the ongoing education and awareness that's happening throughout the year. We even have an educational program that was created by the Office on Violence Against Women and the Black Women's Blueprint that is an HBCU specific bystander intervention program. And so it teaches, you know, what is dating violence, what are different things you can look for, but also it teaches how to be an active bystander, who to go to, what to say, how to intervene, different ways in which you can kind of stick up for your fellow student.
Yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead, Amanda.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to add that we also use EverFi for our online program. And then we have a couple of other curriculums that we have either purchased or developed. So we use the Bringing in the Bystander curriculum on our campus. And then we also have adapted One Love's curriculum on our campus as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't say anything different. I mean, we EverFi as far as the online training, right? PEDV comes in. Carolina's did a program back a couple of weeks ago in February. I think she's got 3 more coming up. Where she came and did a great job. She did a lot of great information. But I also want to say too, just within higher ed, I think that we do a great job amongst each other sharing information. That's how I met Dorian. I reached out to Spelman because of their Office of Violence Against Women grant to get more information about programming that they were doing and look for ways to implement those kind of things on our campus. And I think that happens all the time amongst us. We're calling colleagues and sharing information about better ways to support our students on campus. So it's a constant search going forward about different things we can implement.
So Jarmon, it's your fault that I can't get Caroline on the phone.
I'll take some of it.
Keeping her busy.
Right.
And she just did a program for us last week, which was awesome. So yeah.
I love it though. I love it. I love that we all get to like help each other out. I'm going to your schools. You guys are coming over here. It's been a really productive month spreading awareness.
But I mean, I think that this is what it's about, right? I think it's when we look at this field, I think it's colleges coming together with local organizations that are, you know, experts in the field, and how can we share brain power so that we're not recreating the wheel, so that we're not expending valuable and limited resources. So my final question, and then you guys, Jarmon, you're in the office, so you can go home, hopefully, and everybody can have the rest of their night back. But this is really directed at the parents and students who are watching or who may be watching this. What do you wish they knew more about dating violence? And that's it. What do you wish they knew? So I'll go, Caroline, let's start with you, and then Dorian, Jarmon, Amanda.
I think maybe just talk about it. Don't underestimate it, knowing that it is an issue that a lot of college students face. So don't be afraid to help or even just listen to your child that's explaining something, letting them know that, you know, they're not alone.
Who's next? Is it me or are you, John?
It's you.
Oh, it's me. Okay. So I can echo Caroline's sentiments about talking about it. That's a theme for this month, right? For the Dating Violence Awareness Month. Yeah, just to talk about it, even though your child may not have grown up seeing anything or they're not familiar with it, they're going to be exposed to so many things that you have no idea about when it comes to college, because that's just the nature of college, right? And so have those conversations, or either find out the resources that you can link with somebody that's a staff member on campus to have that conversation, or find out, hey, this event's going on, point your child in the right direction so that they can at least become aware of the things that go on.
Yeah, I would just say, just to remember that when someone does experience dating violence, everyone responds to it differently. And so that in supporting their child or their student, wherever the case may be, to just meet them where they're at as far as how they need to be supported. And I think that their reaction to it should look a certain way.
I think the only thing I could really add onto all of that is that it's not just about physical violence. In fact, that often does occur, but it's only one form of dating violence.
Man, you know, again, let me thank all of you guys. You know, this was one heck of a way to close out Dating Violence Awareness Month, or Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month. And I hope, you know, as people watch this now and later, that they really understand that there's some really good work going on college campuses around protecting their children. And again, I'll say it again, I would have no problem sending my kids to GGC, Spelman, or Georgia Tech as well. I'll edit that. I'll edit that last.
Yeah, that was recorded, Jeff.
Hopefully none of my Bulldog faithful are watching and they heard that part. But no, in all seriousness, though, thank you guys so much, man, for giving of your time to come and really close out Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month. I know in the city of Atlanta as well, the mayor just launched, I think it was last week, kind of bleeding into this week, Peace Week. And so like, that's a really, like this is all kind of a layered conversation. So I sincerely appreciate each one of you guys. And hopefully, we can grow this and start convening more people across college campuses to share information and share more so we can change some lives on these college campuses. So that's all I got today, guys. I hope you guys learned something. But again, as well, if you are watching this later after this, if you have questions for Dorian, Jarmon, or Amanda, or Caroline, please feel free to reach out. I know that they're all awesome individuals, and they'll all offer their time and their talent to talk to you about this issue on their campus. I do want to make sure that we highlight on April 23rd, one last housekeeping note, Teen Summit is going to be at Decatur High School, free of charge, open to any teenager, 13 through 18. Again, free for parents, teenagers, or anybody who just really has a heart to serve in this area. We invite you out at Decatur High School. You can get more information about that on our website at padv.org. So, Caroline, Dorian, Jarmon, Amanda, thank you again. And I hope everybody has an amazing day.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.